YouTube, it's Brian Phillips coming back with another garbage bag opening. This one should be new and exciting. I'm excited. It's been a while since I came back to you with something new and exciting, mostly because I've been sick and I have a couple of these to do now because I've been sick. So, what do we have here? Ooh, look at that. It's a Sky King. Wow. It's a ready-to-fly glider. Strange. Made by WLToys. Interesting. That looks good. Look, you can turn right. You can go forward, you can turn left, and you can go up and down. Or you can turn 360 degrees.
Can I go backwards?
Well, it depends on how hard you try.
I bet I can.
Oh, this one does not have lights, but evidently there's one that has lights on it. God dang it, I wish I would have got the one with lights on it. I guess you live and you learn. I wish playing sneaky tricks on me over there at Banggood. Alright, we're going to open this thing and we're going to fly it if Mother Nature cooperates. Okay, nice styrofoam, sturdy packaging. This thing comes with all the goodies you need. It's for ages 14 plus. Wow, they got that right for once. 14 plus, that's like, it actually sounds like they knew what they were talking about when they wrote that. Usually it's like ages 2 plus. You know, like choking hazard ages and things like this. Okay, so this is a WLToys, guys. But then we've got an XK controller with my favorite
With
knob
your
protectors.
favorite garbage keeping.
These things are awesome. I love them. It looks like other XK products we've reviewed, but the difference is it's got like a smaller screen on it, which is kind of interesting. I'm curious if it's like this one.
You have one out?
From the VTOL, which by the way, I did fix the VTOL. Yeah, see, it's got a smaller screen on it. So we'll see how that performs.
Is that like the helicopter ones, that smaller size?
Yeah, I think so, but actually the helicopters had the bigger ones. So like the blue one, the 123, I think it was what it was. Oh, the foam is sticking to the screen. It's so annoying. So obviously this thing's gonna take some batteries, it takes 4 AA's, so we'll get those off camera here in a minute. And let's go ahead and pull this stuff out. First the fuse. Oh man, you can feel the static electricity on this. Man, it looks nice. Really like it. Does that say wheelie mode?
That's what I always think about doing in an airplane.
Wheelie mode. Okay, I guess there's a wheelie mode on this. Okay, so this canopy is a little bit tricky. When you advance it behind, okay, so watch this. You have to open up the sides a little bit, and then it pulls to the back of the fuse. Okay, so you kind of slide it back and up, and then it comes off. See, it's got a little catch on the front. So it's not magnetic, it's got a little clasp. So looks like there's a couple of batteries in here. Let's whip these things out. Whoa. Oh, it's just got a discharge lead that's a low C connector, a 1S low C, but it's actually a 2S pack with an Hextronics end on it. Not to be confused with GST-PH, which would be an E-Flight style. This is GST-HX. Okay, it's got different pitch and it's a different size. So the pitch meaning the pitch on the little spring-loaded thing that slides up against the pin. So, in case you're wondering. Okay, so this looks like it doesn't have ailerons, which is a little bit weird. I'm assuming, I thought it did have ailerons. Ooh, it's like a puzzle. Our youngest daughter would love that. She loves puzzles. So there's that. Really pretty big wingspan. I was not surprised. I was not expecting that. I'm a little disappointed it doesn't have ailerons. I thought it did have ailerons. Well, that's going to be a little hard to plug in.
Uh-oh.
Let's try. You want to see if it works?
Don't burn down my new house. Yeah, we don't have one of those. Only certain things go in those holes.
Yes. I even tried ramming it in. So the input on this is 100 to 240 volts at 50 to 60 hertz, and the output is 10 volts at 800 milliamps. Okay, so it's a drum style connector, not a USB style connector. So that is a little bit weird. I'm not sure why that is. It's the first experience I've had with WLToys, WLToys or XK product line, because there's a plug here. And then there's this. Now the good news is I have other means of charging my battery, but because this came with that, I would either have to take what's called a suicide cable, and I probably won't show that on YouTube. Suicide cable would terminate onto these tips, and then I would take my hands off of it, and then I would plug it in here, and it would give me the power, because technically this thing has a transformer to handle 100 to 240 volts AC. Out of this plug comes 110 to 120 volts AC, depending on the day and depending on the condition of the power at the time. So I could technically use this. I'm just not going to show that on YouTube because I don't want somebody to copy me and get killed, because that's kind of on you guys. So this thing here, and if you aren't familiar with the suicide cable, it's just a plug that goes into the outlet, and it's got 3 bare ends. So you got the ground, hot, and neutral. So we'll talk about that in a later time. Comes with this little carbon fiber wing spar. It's really stiff, really light too. And that's everything. So what we're gonna, something
inside of the,
well, that's weird.
Canopy? Or like a spare?
Oh, you know what that is? That is if you're gonna use an FPV camera. So, in the event that you're gonna use an FPV camera, just throwing things today, you would basically click this in here, okay? And then it would just snap down. And then you could put your camera there. It's gonna be kind of hard to get that off, isn't it?
Oh, so you wouldn't use the black canopy thing at
No.
all? It's not interchangeable, it's just a replacement.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see the control board in here. Ooh, there's the module and the antenna for the RF module. And then there's another servo plug there, which is pretty cool. So you could hypothetically add ailerons if you wanted. But I'm not sure what protocol we're gonna be using on this. Probably would work with the jumper. I'm not gonna cover that in the video, but I'm sure somebody has already figured it out. Without further ado, what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and get our double A's. We'll show you how to put those in. And then this comes with a 2S pack. This is 2S 300 milliamps. And all we need to have is the low C connector. This is a low C. This would be the discharge lead. This would be the balance charge lead, okay? So let's go over to our batteries that we have sitting out right now and see if we have anything good. Okay, so this is 300 milliamps. This one's a Volantix that's 2S at 500 milliamp hours, but it's got a JST plug. So unless I built an adapter, that probably wouldn't work. And then I got a bunch of little batteries in here. They happen to have JST plugs on them. That's one reason why I was a little bit weirded out by this plug. So what I might have to do is I might have to build a little JST to low C female connector, which would allow me to plug that, actually be a JST female on the plane, and then I would go into the low C female as well. And then that would allow me to use this battery, or I could use this battery. Unless we have one in here. These are some of the ones I've gotten from XK Products. This is a 1S pack. It just happens to be a big pack. It's 700 milliamp hours. And then, of course, we could just cut the end off of one of these, and we could do a low C connector. So we're going to plug in this charger, and I'll just show you how I do it with the balance charger. I have this little low C connector I use to get me to an XT60, and then that allows me to use my balance charger so I can go ahead and charge this new pack. I'll charge it right now. So if you have this style of charger, you would just plug it into your balance plug, and then of course in our case you would need some sort of a viable charger adapter that would take you into your regular discharge lead plug. So in this case, this is a 2S pack, so we're going to go from Lipo charge to Lipo balance. We'll press the enter key. We're going to change this 0.5 to 0.3. I usually try to charge at half rate. Why don't you get a little bit closer so you can see? There you go. And we'll change that to 0.2 because you can only do it in 1/10 of a volt divisions. And then we'll set that to 7.4. And then we'll just press and hold. Okay, we'll start that. So now you'll notice it's charging at 0.2 amps at 7.95. And then we can walk over. Oop. So we had a connection error. I'm actually just going to go to a different balance charge plug. I had a problem with that one years ago, and I just don't know why I used it today. So we'll try this again. Okay, so we're good to go there. 3.98 and 3.98. So we're well balanced. So now that's just going to basically charge, and I found another pack that was a, this is 300 milliamp hour. It happens to have a low C plug on it for the discharge, and it has the regular Hextronics 2S balance charge. So we'll use that to actually fly this airplane today. Same charge, same battery. Difference is it's just been sitting for a little bit, so we'll check and see what the voltage is like with the voltage adapter, excuse me, voltage warning alarm. Okay, so this one's a little bit lower at 4.04 compared to 4.01. So still good enough to get a flight in, but you're gonna be at 4.2 volts on a normal fully charged pack. So we'll see how that does. And let's look over the directions and see, but we'll get batteries right now. Okay, so we got double A's. The flat side of the back, the pack goes in against the spring, and the little bump goes against the bump. So it's gonna get your polarity right. So there's 4 of them. And then if you end up getting a bunch of these right on there, what type of plane it goes with. Okay, so we'll turn this on. Yeah, it looks simple. This reminds me of the other glider, which ironically enough is A800. So we'll hope this one does a little bit better. I was disappointed to see there's no spare prop, but it's got a folding prop and it's got a brushed motor. Again, a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is. It's very cheap. So, all right, so we got the canopy. Battery's obviously gonna go in here. So then the wing is super easy to put together. You basically slide this thing through. I usually try to hold it in about the middle point, and then I don't shove like way too much into the wrong side. And it went through about halfway. And then there's just an obvious point where it goes, and then it snaps together. Really, really, really simple. This thing would be great if you're trying to transport it in a car. Of course, you have to feed it through the fuse first, as you can see. Oh, cool, look at that. You can see where the lead comes up through the nacelle, if you want to call that. It is definitely a brushed motor, but so was it on the A800 too. This thing looks good. It's very light, very light. It's actually, I've got enough room in here for a voltage alarm, so I'm gonna run a voltage alarm. So this voltage alarm will go off when it hits 3.6, I think is what I got it set to. So we'll just verify that real quick. 3.3, so we'll set it to 3.5. 3.6, I want 3.6, okay. So we'll just plop that battery in there. It goes right up to the nose. If you don't know where the CG is, always kind of err on the safe side, run it a little bit nose heavy. Nose heavy meaning that when you balance this thing at the center of gravity, it tips down a little bit. That's going to tend to give you a better chance of success if you're new to flying. So I'm going to push that, well, I push it way up there. Now I have ample room for the voltage alarm. Just be mindful, any sharp points that can hit that lipo, you want to try to avoid hitting the lipo because they're soft. Okay, so now get your polarity right. I'm gonna hold this thing level. Okay, so you can see a little light flashing there. Oh crap, I forgot to turn this on. So now they're bound up. Elevator up, down. Rudder, left, right. Now, because this is the 3-channel plane, everything is on this stick, okay? Normally this would be your aileron, but it's the tail in this case, or the rudder. So we'll show you that here in a second. Be mindful about not getting wires in a spot where they can interfere with your servos, the linkages. We'll see if we can get that to go in there with the voltage alarm the way we got it configured. Probably wouldn't need a voltage alarm, but it's just nice when we're doing a video since we haven't established how long this thing will fly for. Plus I lose track of time. Man, that thing looks good. Okay, so let's see. The CG is probably on wherever that carbon fiber strip is. So I've got a little bit of nose down. That's perfect. for our first flight on a glider. Okay, so let's show them a quick test. Come around here. So rudder, left, right, elevator up and down. So up and down. So when you pull down on this, it's gonna go up. When you push down, it's gonna go down. When you push like this, it's gonna roll and yaw. When you pull like this, it's gonna roll and yaw. And believe it or not, even though this wing is pretty straight, this is gonna act almost like a little bit of dihedral, so this thing's gonna fly pretty stable. And then of course, let's try the throttle. Throttle's over here, so keep that down when you're trying. Look at that. Okay, so this pack is not real happy about that. So we are going to pause and switch it. Okay, so I charged this thing, and this is the one that came with the plane. And just so you guys can see, we're at 8.22, so 4.11 and 4.11. So basically, we're a little bit shy of where I'd like to be for a Maiden, but we have a warning, so we're gonna know when it's low. So I'm just gonna stuff that way up in the nose, just like the last pack. And we're just gonna see if this sags. So just plugging this in after having the radio already fired up, and there's a little flashing light once you hear the servos kick on. I was hoping you guys would see the flashing lights, but all right, so that's all together. Let's see if we have any sort of sag when we give it throttle. So I think we're okay. All right, out we go. This thing is a perfect size. I'm really happy with the size of this thing. So I hope it flies half as good as it looks, because it looks pretty dang good. And if it does, I'm gonna be happy. Although it is a brushed motor and it's only 3-channel, which I'm not thrilled about. Beautiful day today. Fairly calm, not totally dead calm, but it's mostly calm. Okay, so this has stabilization. I don't know if it has auto leveling, but we're gonna find out in just a second or two. There's a button there. There's low rate, high rates, low rates, high rates. And then this one probably does some other setting. I don't know, we'll find out. Oh, that thing is rock solid, man. So I'm trying to fly with my left stick, and of course it doesn't do anything, because it's only a 3-channel plane. Come on over here. About 50% throttle. Come on up.
Which side do you want me on?
I'm gonna go up to throttle, up to altitude here. Chopping the throttle. And as you can see, because it's a brushed motor, there is no braking. Come up to the edge, please. Now you can feel the wind a little bit better. Go all the way to the edge. Thank you. Looks good. Okay, so there's a limited bank angle. You hear that beep? There's a little bit of a sag when that DC motor draws. When I say DC motor, I mean the brushed motor. It won't let you go upside down. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the other mode here. There's the other mode. Man, that's... Okay, so this is out of the first mode, so this will give you full control of the plane. As you can see, I'm going upside down without any problems. Being that it's 3-channel, it's controllable, very controllable. Ooh, the prop stopped. That's cool. Now that warning is for being at 3.6 volts DC. What do you think, camera crew?
Looks cool.
I want to see if I can get it to roll over on its back. Yeah, it's just not quite enough juice right now. I just don't want to get in a situation where I'm killing it to just flip it over. Okay, here we go. So obviously that noise you're hearing is beeping. I'm gonna catch this, so
Okay.
I don't want to chase it out in the grass because it's wet. Okay, so what have we learned? My battery probably needs to be fully charged. Is this a good little plane? Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Other than just a small trim issue, I really do like it. The fact that it's only 3-channel is a little bit disappointing in today's day and age. There's so much technology out there, but the auto leveling is working great. So basically, when you first get it, it's going to be solid. That means that you're in auto leveling. And when you press it, it's going to flash and it's going to beep twice as you do it. That's going to tell you you're out of the auto leveling. You can also tell by looking at the control surfaces, it should be trying to recover level, okay? So that's not in auto leveling. Now I'm going to go into auto leveling. Watch what happens to the elevator. See, it's fighting. It's trying to pull the plane to this level. And then look at the rudder. See, the rudder's going to try to bring it back to straight. So I'm going to shut off auto leveling. We'll see if we can launch this again. I'm going to just throw it hard and see what kind of a glide we get out of it. I wonder how this thing would slope soar. Because I think what's going on is we just have so much drag from that prop tractoring, you know? I really like the way it flies. It flies way better than the A800. The A800 is a 4-channel. Has ailerons. But this thing flies way better. I like the way it looks better too, actually. Come on, roll over for me. You see what I'm talking about? That prop is still tractoring. Okay, I'm gonna try to catch it again here. Woo! Do you hear that high-pitched squeal?
Yes.
Super annoying. The A800 also does that. That brushed motor, there must be something about that brushed setup that causes it to squeal like that. I don't like it. But, and it's not the servos. So I'm not sure what it is, but I know the A800 also does that. And it's the 4-channel glider, but man, this thing flies way better than that thing, I think. And value for the dollar, this is a pretty good plane. I really want to see it slope soar. Wish it was crazy windy right now because we could go up against the hill and just see if we could fly off the crest of that hill. But for now, I would say, guys, we're going to go check the other battery because I feel like I cheated you on the battery because we didn't have full charge. So we're going to come right back. Okay, so basically I want to show you what the sag looks like on the Lipo. So you can see the voltage is at 7.64 on both cells. So 3.81 and 3.82, which you would think that's really not that big a deal. But when you load this by running the brushed motor, you're going to draw it down, okay? So here, we'll just load it for you. So cell 2 is at 3.5. Cell 1 is at 3.4. So watch it recover. See, as I lower the stick, you recover your voltage. So to a certain extent, and that's the way all LiPos work. The difference is a brushless motor is going to be quite a bit more efficient. So what we're going to do is we're going to just swap this out. Let's show them the voltages here. So we're 4.19, 1.8, 4.2, and it's just kind of fluttering. You'll have a tendency to see that on some of your smaller packs when you're doing a balance charge. It's going to do that. That's just the way it goes. So I've disconnected this, and that can be charged at any time. I'm going to stop this one. It's probably stopped short just like the last time. So I'll go ahead and unplug this safely, and we're going to tell you what we're at now. So this was the one from the A800. Now, normally I don't run my alarms at 3.6 volts, okay? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's almost full, okay? All right, so we'll run this. I'm going to set my alarm to 3.3. So 3.3 is when it's going to alarm. So that means we're going to be able to fly it for a little bit longer, but we're also going to run the risk of actually hitting a low voltage warning on this XK product because they do run low voltage warnings on some of their products. We are going to be losing light here pretty quick, so we're going to try to get you a full flight. This is what I would consider like fully charged and sat overnight. So it's not maybe 100% charged, but it's pretty close.
So this might be a dumb question. On the actual charger, the voltage was slightly different than on the alarm. Is
That's
one
right.
more like accurate if people actually like really
voltage,
care?
The voltage on the charge is actually showing you what the voltage is being charged to. So when you have a charger, it's like loading a battery backward. You're actually charging it. So you have a source here, and it's pulling the cell up. Okay. When you're on the other side, like when it's on the motor, you're drawing this load, and so it makes your voltage drop. Okay. So you're consuming it, so it drops the voltage. When you let go of that load, then it recovers some. Okay. So you're just going the opposite direction on the charger. The only difference is, in this case, you may have a little bit more sophisticated electronics on this. It's a little bigger device, but it's probably all made, you know, the same way, as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't probably make any bets on it. And by the way, it doesn't make a huge difference. Okay, so we're just letting this sink. Okay, once it sinks, you can hear the servos moving. And then I'm going to tuck my wires back in, just so they're out of the way of the canopy, because it's got that little bit of plastic, or excuse me, not plastic, but foam. So we're going to tuck that down in there so that it doesn't get pinched. Okay, so that's snapped down. So let's go try this again. Do you want to fly on the back side and show people? I don't know. I kind of had a wide turning radius.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that, but probably not today.
It's muddier back there right now. There's not a good place to stand.
Yeah, I agree.
Might get attacked by a chicken.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, so we're in our full control mode here. So when you're flying a 3-channel plane, you fly a little bit different because you know you have limitations on some of your control characteristics. Going into the wind right here, out of the throttle, but I can hear it tractoring. Did you think I was going to hit that book?
Did you think you were going to hit?
No, I was just being on the safe side. Okay, so I'm in the auto leveling mode. I just shut it off. Well, I think now I'm out of it. Okay, so here we go. Nope, I'm back in it. Now I'm out of it. You see how it's kind of wonky when I let go of the controls? Can you tell, camera crew?
Yeah.
And that's what happens on 3 channels, because you're depending on that dihedral to roll the plane. And then the flight characteristics of the plane.
Mm.
So when you yaw the airplane with the rudder, you actually increase the lift on one wing and you decrease the lift on the other wing. Thus, you roll the plane to a certain extent. The dihedral also helps to encourage that effect. Okay? So it's different than a 4-channel, because on a 4-channel, you do the same thing, but you do it with ailerons on both wings. You bleed off the lift on one wing and you encourage more lift on the other wing. Man, that thing looks good in the sky. And you'll notice it's not beeping, it's not sagging to 3.3 volts. Not yet, at least. Man, the silhouette is going to be bad, I bet, today.
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing about a 3-channel, is you don't have that immediate crisp response that I'm used to having. And so getting close to structures, like I do all too frequently. Let's go over by the edge here.
Okay.
What is that noise?
A truck on the highway?
Your dog.
Yeah. The wind just kind of picked up a little bit.
No, there's like...
A buzz?
No, it's not on the plane. I'm talking about the dogs in the distance.
Mm.
See how that looked, how uncrisp it was?
Yeah.
I would say this thing is extremely easy to fly, though. Even out of the stabilized mode or the full auto leveling. I think I was just hearing a dog. And by the way, folks, flying a sailplane under full throttle all the time is kind of lame, if you ask me, because this thing is designed to fly with that folded prop. Folded. But as a result of it not folding, because it's not a brushed motor, or it's not a brushless motor where we can apply braking, you pretty much get that tractoring effect as soon as you let off the throttle.
Right.
So one thing that we did on the A800 as a modification, an upgrade, if you will, was we crashed it.
Don't start all modifications.
We crashed it, and then what that did is it bound up the motor just enough that as soon as you let off the throttle, it pretty much stopped running. It stopped spinning.
I forgot about that.
I didn't. Feels like I'm getting a little bit more apprehension when I give it throttle. How's our lighting doing, camera crew?
It's manageable.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I can't roll it over at the top of that hill. I really wanted to. I like this plane, though. It flies. It's fun to fly. It's easy. This will be good for our son, who flies the Sport Cub 500, which is made by, is that an Eachine or WL, or what is that?
Oh, I don't remember which one that one is. He has one that he likes the best.
That's the one. The Sport Cub 500. It's similar to the Sport Cub SUMX, but it's way cheaper and it's a lot more forgiving because the foam is better for reluctance to damage.
He flies that little one inside too that we weren't sure was gonna fly inside.
You mean the one that we did all those awesome modifications to?
Yeah, but he kind of just figured it out.
Yeah, he's gonna be a pretty good pilot when he sets his mind to it. Problem is, our son wants to be good at it before he wants to do it. And I'm like, you can't be good at flying radio-controlled airplanes before you do it. You physically can't. You can fly a simulator a bunch, but even a simulator cheats a lot. You'll find out that real life is so different than a simulator. That's why it's just, I don't want to say it's not worth doing, having a simulator on your computer, for instance. It's just more a matter of, you're not going to have all these environmental impacts. And yes, you can simulate wind and all that, but it just doesn't work well, in my opinion.
It did kind of help train his brain,
Yeah,
which,
for like
you know,
the directions
and
controls.
stuff.
Because when you're coming at yourself, the controls somewhat reverse. Okay, I'm going to try to catch it here. Going into the wind here, getting into a nice glide, about 50% elevator, slow it down some. There you have it, guys. Hasn't even run out of power, but I think we're probably out of light for tonight.
Yep.
I really like the way this thing flies. I was all disappointed when I realized there weren't ailerons, but to be honest with you, you sort of don't notice it that much. It's maybe not quite as crisp as it would be, but to be honest, the 800, I would say if I rank that a 5, because it was not a real great plane, in my opinion. This thing is probably more like a 7 or 8. It's really good flying. It's very easy. If you're a new pilot, it would be definitely doable. So if you like the way this looks and the budget matches your budget, I'd maybe go for it. Check the link in the description below. If you buy stuff from those links, you do help to support the channel with like 1 cent per purchase. So we're not going to be getting rich anytime soon on that, believe me. But at the same time, it is cool because that helps to fund my habit and my addiction. And so as you get addicted, you can help my addiction by buying it from those links. And my wife will be eternally grateful.
Thank you so much.
But this thing is awesome, guys. I really like it. The Sky King. It's a Sky King. They call it the F959. 5. There's an extra 5 on. There's an extra 5 on one of the on the box.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the model because there was some with some lights that were on the bottom.
Yeah.
Then they also had one that was blue instead of orange, and then they had one that was red instead of orange. I didn't pick the color. I just know it came with only one LiPo. That was a little bit disappointing. And no spare props, guys. But to be perfectly frank with you, you're probably not going to need a new prop because the prop is on the back. And notice that it's not pointed straight, okay? I want you guys to see this because I'm going to get 50 questions about this. You see how it's pointed off to? what would you call that? That'd be the right side of the plane. That's normal. That's to counter what's called the P factor, which wants to make the plane roll. Okay, that's all. It's a real thing, Cameron.
Sorry.
She's laughing at me because I make up all these terminology.
Well,
it's a real thing.
every 14-year-old boy is laughing because you said P factor.
P factor.
And so am I.
So of course my 14-year-old wife. So she's not 14.
I'm not 14.
We're both of age.
Yes,
Oh, geez,
for
I'm
a
going
long
down the wrong
time.
path. Go get one. You'll like it. I promise.